Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Spider, and welcome back to another review. And today we're taking a look at the Star Wars Vintage Collection First Order Stormtrooper, which is VC number 118. And this figure released back in 2017 and based on their appearance from Star Wars The Force Awakens. So, to get things started, we'll take a look at the packaging. And here we have the box. That's not really a box, but I'm still going to call it that. You get a nice little image of the character, name of the figure, name of the movie. Pretty much it for the front. On the back, you get some image of other figures you can get, and a whole bunch of words, none of which are a bio, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, you get some stuff here that barely counts, and then the rest of it is just a bunch of legal jibble-jabble. Boxes aren't really as fun as they used to be. Remember they used to have like bios and stuff, and they would like tell you about the character, like what species they were, what faction they belonged to, maybe some little fun factoids about the accessories they came with. Nowadays you just get that. It's just, I don't know, it's not as fun. It used to be cool, like you would get excited like reading the back of the box on the way home from the toy store, getting excited about opening up your new toys. It was cool, and kids don't really get to experience that nowadays anymore. It's kind of sad. But anyways, before I sound anything more like a 50-year-old, let's move on from the box and onto the figure. And here we have the First Order Stormtrooper. And to begin, we should take a look at the articulation. It's got a ball joint at the head, which allows you to make it look all the way around. Can't really look up at all, but it can look down a decent amount. And you can get some nice tilting at the head, which is nice. The arms can move that far out, though I'm not a big fan of the joint because you kind of got to worry about scratching the paint. Not the biggest fan of that. Can move all the way around. For the elbows, you get a pretty pathetic bend. Like, I really wish you could go more than that, but that's all you get for the elbow. Okay. You get a swivel at the elbow, which is nice. You get a swivel at the hand, and can go in and out. And the other hand can go up and down. That's cool. You get the two different movements on either hand, which is interesting. And there's with swivel. Did I say that? I think I said that, but just in case, there it is again. You get a ball joint at the torso, which of course allows you to move it around. You get a pretty decent crunch, but unfortunately no arch. Alright. You do get some nice side-to-side movement. I like that. And even though there is a cut for the joints, there is no waist swivel, which is an interesting choice. It's like there's a cut for that joint. There's space here, so it's like they made space for the joint and then decided not to do it and just glued the two pieces together, which is okay. The legs can do a pretty decent splits. You do get a thigh rotation, and the legs can't really kick forward, at least not in the normal sense, because they are those strange hip joints that were on the last Stormtrooper figure I reviewed. Basically, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, the hip joint plugs directly up into the body instead of being a horizontal connection. So it doesn't allow you to, I fumbled my words there, it doesn't allow you to kick forward normally. What you gotta do is rotate the leg, then move it forward, and rotate the rest of the leg so it looks a bit more proper, and that's how you kick forward. And even then, it doesn't really kick forward all that much. Don't know why they decided to use that very much outdated hip joint design on this figure. That was very, very strange choice. The knees get, once again, not a very good bend out of it. Like, seriously, you can't even get 90 degrees out of this. Like, come on. Come on now. What are we doing here? You do get a, that's kind of tight, a knee swivel. That's nice. And the foot can go pretty much all the way down. Not really all that much up. And you get an ankle swivel. So that is good. And overall, the articulation is kind of subpar. I really wish it was a lot better, especially for a figure from the year it came out. Like, it's not that old. This figure is from 2017, for crying out loud. That wasn't that long ago. Hasbro should have known how to make a better articulated figure by that point, and definitely should have known not to use these bizarre hip joints. Like, that was outdated the minute they used them. Like, what why? I was not a big fan of the way the arms move out, because again, you got the paint scrapage there. I wish it was designed more like this, where, you know, it moves like that, and you got the joint in the middle of the shoulder, which, you know, you have to, there's less to worry about paint scrapage when the joint is like that, unlike with this figure. So just, articulation is not very good. Like, it's not terrible, but from the year it came out, it should have been way better. Like, there are figures in the vintage collection line that came out before this that are quite a bit better. I don't know why Hasbro thought this was okay, but whatever. So we'll move on from articulation and take a look at the figure's details. So you got the helmet here, which is sculpted fairly well. It's got all the details from the film and looks pretty good. You get the chest plate, which is also quite nice. You get the arms, which are pretty good. You got these little details on the inside of the forearm. You get the two-toned glove. You also get little lines and ridges on the, what would be like the undersuit, or the suit they wear underneath the armor. You know what I mean? Which is pretty cool. And they even have little ridges sculpted on the actual joint there, which that is really cool. You get the torso and you get the belt, which you got white paint painted on black, which looks okay on mine, but the quality varies from figure to figure. I've seen others where it actually looks really good, and there are others that are actually worse looking than mine. That's the belt. You get the legs, which again, you get that same nice sculpting for the undersuit. I bump the camera. You get the boots. You get the holes in the bottom of the boots so you can plug it into a stand, which is nice. You get the back of the figure. You get the, apparently the thermal detonator, which, yeah, apparently that's what that thing is. So if you ever wondered what that little cylinder thing was on the back of the clones, the Stormtroopers and the First Order Troopers, apparently it's a thermal detonator. I didn't know that. Okay. Which is painted a little loopy, like you see that line kind of goes off course there a little bit towards the bottom. Gonna maybe wipe the paint off and try it again, but whatever. So, as far as the details go, it's pretty good. There are some parts that aren't, you know, the greatest, but for the most part, he looks really good. Yeah, not a lot of complaints there when it comes to the details. They did a pretty good job. So, yeah, I think that is it for the figure, so we can move on to the accessories it comes with. So, you get a couple of blasters. You get the F11D blaster and the SE44C pistol. Had to look up both of those names, because I don't know what the heck these things were called. So we'll take a closer look at those. You get some nice paint on these blasters. They're sculpted fairly well. You even got some little silver on the side there. That is nice. Oh, looks pretty good. You got the little pistol. It's also painted fairly decently for the size. So yeah, get a couple blasters. They're quite nice. Just not a biggest fan of the colors that they chose. I always thought that the First Order blasters looked like Nerf guns because of how they were colored, but that's more of a choice with the movie, not really a fault of the figure. And obviously, you can hold his blasters. So it's a bit of a loose grip sometimes. You can hold the pistol as well, which is not as loose of a grip, which is odd. You think the pistol, the smaller gun, would be the looser fit, but nope, not the case. That is odd. And if you didn't want him double wielding, he does have a little slot on the side of his hip that you can plug the gun into. So yeah, you can store the gun on his hip, and you can store either gun on his hip. And that is quite nice. I do appreciate that. So you just wanted him holding the pistol, not the full-on blaster. You can still store the gun on his hip. I appreciate that. I think that's quite nice. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I think I have to say about the figure. Yep, I think that's it. So we should move on to the size comparisons. So to start off the size comparisons, as always, here it is with a LEGO minifigure, the Packet Destruction minifigure Mothra, the Packet Destruction minifigure Godzilla. And on to some more relevant size comparisons. Here it is with the Star Wars Force Link General Leia, with the Star Wars Force Link Kylo Ren, with the Star Wars Vintage Collection Battle Droid, just because they're both Vintage Collection. Here it is with the Capture of Tantive 4 Battle Pack Stormtrooper. And here it is with the previous review, the Star Wars The Black Series Stormtrooper from 2014. Now that we're done with all that, it's measuring time. So let's bring out this measuring tape, and we can see the figure is a little under 4 inches tall. So, pretty standard 3 3/4 inch figure. So, that is pretty much it for the Vintage Collection First Order Stormtrooper. And overall, he's okay. As far as the details go, they did a pretty good job, but when it comes to articulation, it really could have used some improvement. I mean, at least 90-degree bends at the elbows and knees. That should be the standard at this point. So, if you want a figure that you're just going to put on a simple pose and then set on a shelf, this one works well. But if you want a figure you're going to mess around with a bit more, you might want to choose something else. And if you did want this figure for yourself, on eBay it's going for around $13 out of the box and around $20 brand new in the box, which, for aftermarket prices, that's not too bad. But, it's your money, spend it however you wish. And that's all I've got to say. So, hope you all enjoyed. See you later. Sayonara. Bye.